Hi guys, my name is Genesis.
Hi, I'm Desiree.
And I'm Brianna.
And you're listening to Outfacing Us, the podcast. I love to be alone. Right now, I think that's what I need, desperately, because I'm ready to lash out, things that really have nothing to do with the people around me, but just because they're around in that moment and I have to give my energy, I'm ready to you know what I mean? Just project. So I feel like being alone would prevent that from happening and prevent me would allow me to sit with my feelings instead of taking them out in a way that I don't want, or saying things that I don't want to say, or acting in a way that I don't want to act.
No, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Because it's not anyone else's problem or fault. It's just
that actually relates to one of our posts today. How it's, what did it say? It was like,
I made it. Stop.
You made it.
Yeah, I was like, it says blaming anyone else for anything in your life is just creating excuses. Notice or realize when you're limiting your own potential. Yeah.
You have to sometimes take that step to be okay, just because you have things going on in your life does not mean you can lash out on other people, although it feels as if they're they're triggering it. No one knows what's in your mind other than you. With that being said, the power of being alone, that whole topic is so big and important for me, just because I'm an ambivert. I was actually talking about this today, which is so funny. I like to call myself an ambivert. I gain energy while being alone, like an introvert, but I love being with other people too, like a extrovert, and I gain my energy from that. But my introvertness is on the radar right now. Being alone has become a safe spot for me. If I'm sad, I'll just be alone. It's just become that thing where I've always been able to lean on it because I gain a lot of energy being alone. When I'm alone, I feel as if I'm at my best compared to when I'm in a room full of people that I don't really, care about, or that bring me down. It's the loneliness or the being alone part just goes off the radar.
I think that one part that you just said is being around the people you don't want to be around is key, because I've found myself in situations where I can be around certain people. A good example, you, Brianna, I can be around specific people and not feel I'm giving energy, constant energy. Whereas I'll be around other people that make me feel some type of way, or maybe I have negative thoughts towards them, and then it just becomes harder to be around them. And once I'm around them for a certain amount of time, that's when I'm okay, I need to recharge, and then I revert back to myself and be alone.
Yes.
That was a good yes.
People take your energy. People take your energy, especially people who carry a bad energy with them, who are searching so desperately for energy that they just take. Please do not surround yourself.
I wouldn't say bad, but more negative, because it's not their fault that they think negative all the time. It is their fault, but
I know. I completely agree. But bad, negative, people who not really surround themselves with an aura, because like you said, it's not their fault. But people who happen to think negatively because that's just the way that their mind works.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't even have to be someone wishing bad on you, but it could just be jealousy or envy or whatever that is.
I think I can be alone with the right people. There's people I can be alone with. If that makes sense. Then being alone doesn't always just mean me by myself, but being alone in a sense where I'm in my own mindset. Not in my own mindset. That doesn't even make sense. I'm able to control my mindset better, easier. There's certain people that make it easier for me to control my mindset, and for me that's technically being alone because I'm able, like, it's just me, it's just my thoughts, it's just what I think. Whereas when I'm with negative people, it's almost like they're controlling what I'm thinking because they're putting so much negative out, and it's harder to control my mindset. It's harder to stay on the track I want to be on, which is why it feels like their energy is so much more intense, and like I feel them around me because they're affecting the way I'm thinking. Whereas when I'm with the right people, they're not really affecting what I'm thinking. And if they are, they're affecting it in a good way, a way I want it to go. So it feels like I'm in control. And when I'm alone, I'm in control. So there's certain people I can be alone with, which is cool. And that's the type of people I want to be around all the time. Because if I could feel alone with you, like, that's a good feeling.
There's a difference between being alone and like being in your, I don't know, it's just being alone, like you said, it's just being like you have your own mindset, no one's wavering that.
You're in control.
No one's telling, yeah, exactly, you're in control. No one's wavering your mindset from negative to positive. You have control. You get to choose whether you want to think negatively or positive that day. And being able to be around people who, like you said, don't waver that for you, don't make your decision for you, which I wouldn't even say don't make your decision for you, because at the end of the day, it's still your decision on whether you want to change your mindset or not. But who waver your mindset, it takes away your energy. And so being around people who, everybody's in their own mindset, everybody gets to choose whether they want to think positively or negatively, is really, really like refreshing.
Yeah. It's just there's certain people who add on and certain people who meet you. Like, it's like there's people who like add on in a negative way where it's like, it's almost like, for me, it's almost like I have to dip and dodge everything they say just to not let it get to my mind. And that's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's tiring. Like, being around people where you have to literally ignore some of the things they say, because if you think about it too much, it'll affect what you're thinking.
And it's so hard not to react. And it's so hard not to react.
It is.
And you know what's also bad that I've also realized, like, this past week, that being around people could affect you in a way you wouldn't even know. Because one day you could be the happiest person, always thinking positive, and as soon as you get around a person who's just negative, or like thinking, you suck up all the energy, and then all of a sudden you're thinking negative, you're thinking this way, and you're like, wait, what happened? You realize you're like picking up energies from other people and basically following in their footsteps. And that's why when people say who you surround yourself with is who you become, and that's so true.
But then even in that point, it's still not that other person's fault.
No, it's never their fault.
And that's the hard part, because it's like, at least in that other person's perspective, when you push yourself away from that person, they think it's their fault. And that's like where it's like, like I would rather keep you around just so you won't think that, because I know if I try to leave, you're gonna think that, and I don't want you to think that. And then that's when like the choosing yourself has to come in, and the choose your heart, all the topics we've already talked about, which all tie in together, which is really cool. Like, you'll see all of them. Like, the more we talk about things, the more I realize that everything ties into one another.
It's all about self.
Because it's all about self, exactly. So it makes sense. But yeah, that's what makes it even more difficult, because now it's like, that's my friend, or that's the person I want to be with. Like, how could I possibly remove myself from them? Not even just for me, but how are they gonna feel once I do that? And then when you're around them, it's just so much harder to be you. It's so much harder to think the way you want to think. It's so much harder to be on the path you want to be on, because it's like they're a blockage in a way from doing that.
Yes, that happened to me just so recently, which is so funny, which is why it's so funny that we're having this conversation, because it affected me so much. I was around this person and it was just like always negative, and not even in the what they were saying, but you know how when you get near someone and it's just like, even being near them at that point in time just brings you down. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but when I get near people who have negative aura surrounding them, it's just, I feel it right away. I feel it right away. And then obviously what they continue to say makes me think so too. But at that point, I got so frustrated that I took myself out of that situation. Even if it's walking away from that person for a second, I I took a second and I was like, I'm not gonna react, because the more that I react, the more I'm gonna think negatively. Instead of me saying, you know what, this person's so annoying. They have negative energy. They're doing this, and that. I reacted. I was like, okay, this person might be having a bad day. Like, this person, I don't know what's happening, or what's really in the mind of this person. So I took a second, and do you know what I did? I removed myself from that situation, because I understand there's one thing to, comfort someone, and there's another thing to soak in their sadness just because they're soaking too.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've done all my life, and I'm trying not to do, because it's okay to comfort people. It is okay. And it's okay to be sad when other people are being sad, because I'm an empath and I go through that so much. But you can't take people's energy for them. And that's something that I do so much.
Yeah, same.
Oh, good. You can't take people's energy for them. That's a good one. That's crazy.
And a lot of people like try to give it to you like every chance they get.
Like, here, take this. Like, like that TikTok. Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
No, I'm okay.
It's just, I guess, in a broader term, like, being alone is literally just having control. Like, it doesn't even have to mean you being the only person in the room. It doesn't even have to be that. It just
there could be also a negative side of being alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of people want to be alone, but they don't self-involve. They basically ignore. Mm-hmm. That you can't be alone and then ignore yourself.
Yes. That I got so in love with the idea of being alone. I would self-involve. Like, as soon as I would get the chance to be alone, first off, let me start off with, it was so hard for me to be alone. I always had to be with someone. I always had to have a companion. I always had to be on the phone with someone, texting someone. I always had to have someone there. But when I realized that I don't, and that I actually work so much better while I'm alone, I took that to my advantage, and I kept using it and using it. I kept being alone and being alone. And it was to the point where I would just be alone, just like you said, to ignore all of my everything that I had to do. Like, it was just me doing absolutely nothing. Like, nothing. Like, I wasn't really alone. I was just there.
Escape.
Exactly. It was like an escape mechanism. And so getting out of that is so hard, because I found so much comfort in being alone, to the point where now it's like, it's deteriorating my mental health
instead of helping it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a toxic thing when it's not used correctly. Like I said, being alone doesn't mean isolate. It can mean isolating yourself. It really just depends on the person. It depends on the situation. But it doesn't always mean isolating yourself. Like, it doesn't always mean that. And that's why I was saying that being alone could be just taking control of your own life, where it's your thoughts, what you want, like, just you.
Mm-hmm.
The same
rather than no people, nobody. Like,
mm-hmm.
The same thing happened to me that happened to Brianna, where I was just alone because I was just there, like, and then I was just there, and then I was complaining that I was alone, like, oh, I don't have any friends, and I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I'm alone, and da 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 and da da da. And it's like, that's the toxicity of it. Until you learn to cherish you and be alone and make alone fun, you're supposed to be your own best friend. Your alone time is supposed to be cherished. It's supposed to be a time where you get to know who you are truly, without other people's energies affecting it in any type of way. Because most of us are just made up of what other people have told us, or made up of what other people convinced us to act like or be.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of us are really just reflections of other people. Like we're just
They built us basically.
We create ourselves based on our view of others.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
it's
no.
Like, what do you view yourself like?
And that's what.
And it's so hard to find out because especially when you grow up, like you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that, or not even you're supposed to be, but oh, you're that or you're that. It's just like, okay, maybe I am, like not even.
Or you should think this and you should think that because your family thinks this and your family thinks that and your family thinks you'd be good at this and you'll be good at that. So why aren't you that type of thing? No.
It's just you're so heavily based on this idea of being this person, whether it's you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, that you become it. Even subconsciously, it's just like you're that person. You're looked at as that person, so you build yourself up as that person. No, even if people are putting your views on of what you want to do, you should be able to figure that out on your own. You should be able to figure that out on your own. As someone who's literally, I do not know who I am and I do not know what I truly, truly enjoy. It's literally so frustrating to try to build off of something that isn't even there. Like I'm literally building off of nothing. And so I wish that I would have at least understood that sooner so I could have started that process, which I'm starting the process pretty soon. But
being the perfectionist you are, go ahead.
Being the perfectionist I am, exactly. That it's just like I really wish I could like know what I want at this second, and I don't.
Yeah. Oh, I actually have like that type of similar thing, like in the sense of not knowing what I want. At one point I want this, and then the next time I want this, and then I'm just like, okay, what do I want? It's like it's hard to get set on what you want when you have this person in your ear, that person in your ear, this influencing you, that influencing you, and you're like, but what do I want? Yeah. And then it's hard to differentiate what is yours and what is not. Like what are you, like what you are genuinely thinking and what is influenced by other people.
And I think at that point is where like you would isolate yourself, because now it's like, all right, I have all these people around me. Like I said, being that these people around you affect you in a negative way or in a way that you aren't, like, because if I'm around people who are guiding me, or at least not guiding me, because no one should ever guide you in any specific direction, whether it's the way you want to go or whether it's the way you don't want to go, but are helping me, assisting me to get to that place I want to go to, because that's essentially what it is. Like, this is my life. You all are just living in it, and that goes for everybody. This is Desiree's life. Me and Brian are just living in it. So in that case, when if I'm around people who are assisting me, I don't ever really feel like I need isolation from them. But in a sense where I'm around people who are not assisting me, they're guiding me actually in a completely different direction, that's where it's like, okay, I need to step back. And like Desiree saying, I need to figure out what it is I want without this person in my ear, that person in my ear.
So I have something to build off of what you said. That's exactly where the toxic being alone part comes in. And at least for me, where it was like I learned how to be alone and I was like, oh my gosh, I could be alone. But instead of being alone from or separating or insulating myself from like the people who were negatively impacting my life, I took everyone out. So now I was just staying in the same spot. I didn't have any guidance where it was like, okay, let me bring the positive people into my life so that they can help me. But instead it was just I would just isolate everyone and I would just stay. Like I would just stay there.
Which isn't good, of course, but I also think that like in order for you to even find those people who are going to quote unquote help you, are going to quote unquote guide you to or at least assist you into that route you want to be in, you have to know what you want. You have to know. You don't have to, but you have to have an idea of who you are. Like, I can't just go out here not knowing what I want, not knowing who I am, because then I'm never going to know. How am I going to know what is right for me if I don't even know what I want or who I am or what compliments me and what doesn't? So it's like, at some point in life, you're going to have to be alone. Like, at some point, you're going to have to say, okay, this is what I want. These are my opinions. These are my views. And then then that's when you'll be able to differentiate between who is helping that and who isn't. So it's like, at some point, there's always going to be that like extreme isolation where there's nobody around you but you, and you have complete control of your thoughts, of your feelings, of your views, and that's how you formulate yourself, and that's how you find what it is you want. And then only then can you bring in the extra.
Yeah.
Not even like who you are, like who do you want to be? Because who you are right now, maybe you're not a person you like, but who do you want to turn into? Who do you want to be?
You have to know who you are before you know
where you're going,
where you want to go.
Yeah, you have to recognize your faults. You have to recognize
you need a sense of direction.
You need
a sense of direction. You need to know exactly, like, okay, I'm here now. Where do I want to go?
It's like, how are you gonna know the route to somewhere where you don't even know your destination? You don't even know where you are now. So how are you supposed to find a different route to get to where you want to be?
Yeah, it's like not having a starting point. You need a starting point.
Okay.
There's levels to this, and I think level 1 is being alone.
Yes.
Yes, I completely agree. Before you can go on a journey of, well, also going on the journey, you're also beginning to learn yourself and understand yourself more and more, but you need a base.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that, like, because obviously there's no clear cut to anyone's journey. There's no, oh, this is going to happen. Then this, like, there's none of that. And I'm not saying that, like, in that period where you don't know yourself and you're just still sitting in that same spot where you're around a whole bunch of people that you don't want to be around and you're experiencing all these things. That is still part of the journey. I just think that in order to see, like, real progress, like real elevation, the first step is being alone.
And not ignoring yourself. I have a friend that says she has a problem with being alone, and like she doesn't want to be alone anymore. Like, she's done being alone. She already did her time being alone. And I feel like there's no done time being alone if you haven't actually been alone and got to know who you are. Because if I'm alone, hey, how are you, Desiree? Getting to know myself. It's
first of all, when you are alone with yourself, it is the most refreshing thing ever, to be able to look in the mirror and be like, hi girl, like being able to motivate yourself based on yourself.
And not just that, but as you're becoming the person you want to be, there's going to be new things that come up. So you're going to have several periods where you want to be alone. You're going to have several periods where you need to not relearn yourself, but learn the new version of yourself that you're becoming slowly. There's a lot of things that I discover within myself as days go on, as months go on, as years go on. It's like, it's just like how there's never one point where you're going to be like perfect. There's never one point where you're just going to know everything. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to not know yourself fully, because I feel like you can know yourself fully at a certain extent, but I feel like there's just going to be new things that come up.
Yeah, it's like some things you'll start accepting, some things you won't accept anymore. Some things turn into, no, I don't want that for me. Exactly.
You're transforming, and as you transform, you need to continue to, okay, I like this, like that. Exactly. So
it's like a butterfly, literally.
There are going to be times where there's going to be several times where you need to be alone. I don't think it's just one specific, oh, I was alone and that's it. I can be with people now. Like,
yeah, no, like, especially if you're alone and then you're just alone. Like, hi.
Just alone to be alone.
Introduce yourself to yourself. Be one-on-one with yourself. It's me versus myself. Like, that's how it should be. That's how it should be. That's how you really learn. That's how you really grow. You can't grow craving attention from other people or wanting to be around other people, because she's not going to get it.
you have to feel that attention and that comfort within yourself first to fully experience that comfort from other people, because it's never going to be enough. It's never
No.
going to be enough. If you never sit with yourself and feel like, oh, I am loved, like I love me, nobody's love is ever going to be enough. Nobody's going to ever love you the way you actually want to be loved if you don't love you. And that's
On period.
On period. I also wanted to add something, popped in my mind. I wanted to add something for when we were talking about finally getting to like understand yourself and knowing yourself. I remember I've never really fully understood that like I didn't know myself. Like, I always had this dream, like I always thought that I was what everybody else wanted to be. I was smart, I was pretty, I was this, I was that. And you know what? I thought so of myself because others told me. And so every single time it would go to the point where like every single time I would learn something new about myself, like which kind of chips I liked or what my favorite color was, I would write it down. I have so many notes of just stupid stuff like that. Oh, I like reading. Oh my gosh, my favorite shows, everything in my notes is based on things I like. And that was just me wanting to be someone, wanting all of these characteristics in myself to finally say, okay, I'm Brianna. I'm 14 years old and I like this, and that.
Oh wow.
I'm just realizing that while you guys are talking, I'm like, what? Even from young, I used to write stuff down and I never understood. Like I just liked to do that because now I knew I had a perfect list of the things that I liked, the things I actually knew I liked.
It's like you were trying to grasp yourself because you didn't know who you are.
Yeah, it's like you needed something to confirm it. Like,
yes,
this is who I am. So I'm
like,
gonna write down that paper.
Exactly. Like I know who I am because my favorite chips are this, and my favorite color is this, and my favorite animal is this.
Wow,
that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
no. Yeah.
That's insane. You know what that reminds me of? You know, like those Instagram posts that are like a whole bunch of questions, like fave crush. They used to be really popular.
Yeah. On Snapchat.
And a lot of they're on Snapchat too. A lot of people do them, and I think that's like obviously if you do it once or twice, you do it just to like whatever. But I feel like people who do them constantly it's the same thing. Like it's like a reminder. Like don't forget, this is who you are. This is who you are. This is who you are. Like this is your confirmation of who you are. Which is kind of funny that you said that because that's what it reminded me of. Like those questions that are like, oh, your favorite movie, and like there's a list of them.
You know what though about what's weird about like all this is that you're not supposed to be
do that when I'm
you're not supposed to be that person plastered. Like it's supposed to.
Yes, I was thinking about it, and it just doesn't. I couldn't put my finger on exactly what was wrong about it, but me thinking about it, I'm like, but that's really weird. Like it doesn't sit well with me. The fact that as soon as I learn something about myself, I'm writing it down, so that in any occasion where they ask me, in any occasion where they ask me, who are you? Well,
don't forget.
I like this. Like making sure I don't forget who I am.
It's giving me pageant.
Yeah.
Giving me pageant.
Like
yeah.
Like making sure I don't forget who I am. Like I should always know who I am.
Regardless. And even if something changes, like that, it changed, and now that's me, type of thing. That's why I'm saying, like, there's a lot of times where that cycle of being alone will happen more than once because you are you're not the same person for X amount of years, even X amount of months or X amount of days. I could like something one day and not like it a week later. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, as a person, I'm always evolving and I'm always transforming. So there has to be a time where I sit with myself and I'm like, okay, I'm this now, fine.
You know what makes it so hard for people though? Society doesn't accept that. Like you have to stay the same. You can't move. Don't stay who you are. You can't change because if you're changing, you're acting weird. You're acting fake.
Are you sure? Because you like this for this amount of time and you were with that person for that amount of time. So are you sure that your feeling of wanting to do this and wanting to do that is you? Are you sure?
That's not you. You're becoming a completely different person. Who are you?
Question yourself. And that's why you need to be alone, so that you know that it's okay. It's okay. That change you want to do is okay. If that's what you want, it's okay.
And people are gonna tell you that to your face. They're gonna be like, why are you like, this is not you. Go back, like, excuse me. You only you
are not you. You are not you. You are not you. You go not be you somewhere else and let me be me.
Right. But you only know who you are. Ignore
oh my god.
them.
Or the people who need to heal or they need to change something and there's something just like, it's just me. That's how I act. Like, I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's just me.
Ooh,
that is one of my pet peeves.
So you need to deal with it. I can't help this. So you need to deal with it.
Oh my goodness, that is one of my pet peeves. You know what that is? That's a fixed mindset. That you have this mindset where it's just like, it's not going anywhere. Like, you think this way, you think this certain thing, and it's just gonna stay there.
It is what it is, and you all have to deal with it. Okay.
That is my biggest pet peeve. And with that being said, the question of the day is, okay, you've made your point of view clear. Now, can you release your emotions and feelings enough to understand others? Shift your perspective.
Wrapping it all up, I'm Desiree.
I'm Genesis.
And I'm Brianna.
And you're watching and listening to Outfacing Us, the podcast.
Bye!
Bye!